I don't know, lots of love.
Listen, children, to my mind. I am a victim. Or sister cry. Well, I'm gonna tell you about the afterlife. I'm gonna tell you about what happened last night. I'm gonna tell you about my insanity.
Hey, man, it's the Chris and Mike Show. I'm Mike. He's Chris. We're here to say hello.
Hello.
Hello, and
Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you for stopping by. Is it Turkey Week? Is that where we're at? Turkey Week? Gobble.
This
fucking
would be
gobble.
finally Thanksgiving. It took forever this year. The last
Gobble,
week
gobble,
of the month.
Gobble, gobble, gobble. Am I good voice-wise, sound-wise? Am I hitting the peaks and shit?
Check, check, check.
Hello. Hello. So check this out, man. I went to this place called Firehouse Subs. You got Firehouse Subs there in the Illinois?
We do. Absolutely.
Okay, so when you buy your Firehouse Sub, they always ask you, do you want to round up? You right? You round up your difference. You round up your change to first responders and stuff, right?
Okay.
Okay. So does places like Lowe's and Home Depot, right?
Sure.
Okay, and then like there's
I'm familiar.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like a lot of restaurants do it. Like you round up your change, and Nick and I were at Panda Express a couple of weeks ago, because every now and then we get the urge for the Chinese, and they had this big check on the wall. There's a reason I'm doing this. They had this big check on the wall. That's like, oh, we've donated like $1.8 million, right?
You
Now,
hit a
here's the
nerve.
thing, right?
Go
So
on.
here's the thing, man. So I asked the guy today at Firehouse Subs, because I always kind of thought that was bullshit, right? Like, okay, you're donating, but are you actually donating your money? Like, do they match dollar for dollar? Which I don't know, right? But so when I was at Fire, yeah, go ahead.
In a lot of cases, yes, they do. But what irritates me is the company that I work for does the same thing. It's like this company donated X amount of dollars to
Thank you.
whatever cause. The fuck you did.
Right.
Chris
That's my
Dunham,
point.
Nikki Dunham,
That's my
Jake
point, dude.
Dunham,
Yes.
Mike Michaels, Stan Michaels.
Yes.
We all donated.
And that is my right.
If they match it, sure. But they need to also say our customers
Right.
and Walmart, or our customers and Firehouse Subs.
That was my point, because then I asked him specifically. I said, okay, because I was like 804. So he's like, wants me to round up my change to $9. I was like, okay, I got a question for you before I do that. I said, am I going to get tax credit? And he kind of looked at me dumbfounded. I was like, well, think about it. You're going to donate all my change that's rounded up along with everybody else that comes in this restaurant for the entire year, and you're going to write this big fat check. And Firehouse Sub writes it off. I don't get the write-off. And he's like, well, if you look on your receipt, there'll be a little thing you can turn in to your accountant that will give you your 94 cents write-off, 96 cents write-off.
And I know where you're coming from. It's the principle, right?
And I was like, okay, that's legit. So, but yeah, so that's one of those things that just kind of, made me go, Like,
Oh, yeah.
Like, really?
That's a hot button issue with me. If
Yeah.
you're doing, really, honestly, I agree with whoever said it. I wish I could give them credit. You know, you're supposed to do charity as much in private as possible, right?
Exactly.
But if you're going to say we did X, Y, and Z for the community, at least give the credit where the credit's due. Our customers
That's my point.
donated $1.2 million and we matched it.
Yeah.
Then I have admiration for you, right?
Yeah.
That's great.
And that's my point. Say that our customers as well as Firehouse Subs did this, but don't put your check out there, because the panda is that what it's called? Panda just Chinese food, Panda something.
Panda Express.
Yeah. They just said Panda Express. And they asked us to round up there, and then Nikki's like, that's bullshit. And I was like, well, why is it bullshit? And then she kind of told me her idea. I'm like, that is bullshit. She's like, well, don't post that because you don't know if it's true. So I'm not going to post it, but I can still talk about it because we don't know if they match. And chances are they do match, but still, half of that $1.8 million with some
Right.
customers across the country. So it should say that because that's,
Absolutely, it should.
that's the fairness.
I hate when people take, what do they call that? Like, I mean, in a person, it would be like false bravado, right? Where you're pretending to be something that you're not. I don't know what it is when it's a corporation, but it's the same concept. You're putting an air out to the community that says, here's who we are. And behind the scenes, there's people like you and Nikki who are paying attention, and she sees, wait a minute, I just gave you 96 cents and I saw the big check on the wall that said you gave. No, you didn't.
No.
You gave half of that potentially.
Right. And that's the whole
That's
point.
a mystery.
Yeah, exactly. And that's my thing. Like, if you're going to get, it's kind of like when you drop the change in the Salvation Army kettle, right? Like, legit, good job. Thanks for dropping the change in the Salvation Army kettle.
They do a lot of good, though.
They do a tons of good. And you're not putting that change in there expecting any type of benefit. When you do it at a store, see what I'm saying? But when you do it at a store, they're like we talked about, you're doing it, you're rounding up, so you're spending your money and you're not getting the tax benefit, and then they're doing it to say, look at me, look at me, look at me, look what I did.
Yes. Yes. That, and for the people that are listening that semi disagreed with any of that, I think that should be that's a great comparison, because I don't know anybody that would come out and say that the Salvation Army is not a legitimate organization, right? If you think that's the truth, you need to go research it, because my mom and my sister have worked at the Salvation Army during the holidays many times, and it must be very rewarding because they did it a lot. You know, it was something they enjoyed doing together, and they felt like they really helped these people, you know?
Right. It's true.
I always make a point of donating to the kettles, for sure.
Yeah.
Everyone I see the whole holiday season.
Yeah. So when you go on their website, because as you pulled it up, it's the kettlebell's the thing. I did that for years. When COVID hit, it kind of stopped because the people that were putting it together that I was attached to, it's COVID, like, just shut it down. So I haven't done it since. But what does the Salvation Army do? They do everything from holiday giving, food pantries, disaster relief, spiritual and worship services. It is a Protestant-based church, they call it. They have solutions to human trafficking. They services for the aging. They help with domestic violence, summer camps, LGBTQ plus support. I always have a hard time saying that because it's such a tongue twister. They actually help with rent, mortgage, and utility assistance. I didn't know that. They have homeless shelters, rehab, job training, veteran services, which I knew, grassroots services, life skills to escape poverty, and all after-school programs. So they do a ton of things. So if you're going to give to somebody and you want to have a direct impact on your community, and you know, Salvation Army would do that. But again, and you can do it on the website, so then you get the benefit of taxes. Now it's not bad to want the tax benefit of donating money. There's nothing wrong with that.
No.
Right? There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. So just, if you want to do that. I think it's better than going to a restaurant where they don't do anything. I'm not a restaurant like Firehouse Subs. They make the sub, but they don't. The funny thing is, they didn't have a tip jar, or they didn't have the ability to round up for tip. So in their mind, instead of tipping them, you're tipping the first responders, which is cool, but
they should do both, or either or. I mean, because that's kind of a middle finger to your employees, right?
It is, and yeah. So it's
again, my opinion, but if I'm running my company, first and foremost, we got to make sure the doors stay open. But only second to that is the happiness of the people that work there, right? Because without them, you have no business. And people, they read into that. It's like, hey, and it's cool that we're helping the first responders, but there's no tip jar and there's nothing for us. Are they being paid $25 an hour to make subs?
Exactly. And one of my things too, one time when they asked me, I don't, me, I don't do fast food type stuff very much, but today was just
I don't either anymore.
And I just got the regular brisket sandwich because the brisket sandwich is good. And they have garlic bread. You can put on garlic bread. Oh, that fucking took it to a whole new level, I just must say.
Sounds delicious.
One time they asked me to donate. I was like, well, let me ask you a question. He's like, okay. I said, is this going to benefit me when Johnny Police pulls me over and gives me a ticket for speeding? And he just looked at me with a deer in the headlights face. I'm like, what, dude? He's the first responder. So do I get a sticker or something that says, hey, I donated, so don't give me a ticket? And he started.
Yeah, like those fraternal order of the police cards that people had back in the day, like.
Yeah. Oh, I did this. Yeah, fuck you, didn't do shit. You're still getting pulled over, motherfucker.
They literally used to give people stickers to put on the back of their cars. I donated to the fraternal order of whatever,
To the fraternal,
union number it was.
Everybody's thinking, oh.
That's hilarious.
So one of my clients, her toddler has her phone because she just sent me this message. Come on, open up. It's a school bus. It's with a cat or something in the back of the bus. She's like, "Oops, my toddler sent that." It's like,
What's your shirt say?
Jingle balls.
Okay, I couldn't see the bottom. That's awesome. My brother would appreciate that too. He loves a good Christmas.
Nikki has one that says chestnuts.
That's good too.
Chestnuts. And then speaking of Nikki, okay, she had the annual turkey bowl today at school. The annual turkey bowl. So this the students against the teachers.
Okay.
Well, I get this text message.
Scholastically, you mean?
No. It's football, man. You go out in the big field and you got the sixth graders versus the teachers, and it's game on, man. It's
oh, they really do that kind of stuff?
Yeah, dude. It's fucking
That's
gridiron,
awesome.
pigskin, full contact, tackle, break your fucking leg. Well, maybe not full contact. It's probably a 2-hand touch or
I'm guessing flag or something. Yeah.
So she was voted most valuable player for today's game.
Woohoo!
Right. She said parents have been coming up to her telling her how awesome she was. She may have broken a rib and will be sore tomorrow. But she scored 2 times, knocked a few balls away from kids, had a pick 6 from the end zone to the other one. So me being me, right? I'm like, holy shit, that's amazing beast mode. So I put it up on my Facebook story, right? Automatically, take that down. Yeah. I'm like, well, how come? She's like, I don't want to look like I'm bragging that I'm awesome. I mean, I'm awesome, but still.
Oh, you gotta
right?
enjoy the moment.
Yeah, so I'm like, okay. So then,
it's a moment. It's not like you do it every minute of your life. Tell her I said to go with it.
That's what
enjoy
it.
Relish in it. Yeah, I agree.
So, and then we're supposed to run tonight. But then I'm like, if you broke a rib, like that's nothing to be, oh, I'm fine. I mean, that's like, oh, my neck's fine. Oh, yeah, it's not fine, because it's the neck.
Oh, I know.
Well, it's just fine. I'm like, #stubborn. Like, stop. If you fucking broke a rib, you broke a rib. We're not going running. We're not fucking going to the gym. You just gotta, chill out. So we'll see. I think she probably just bruised it because, when she gets home and takes off her clothes, don't worry, I'll examine her. And I'll report back on.
I have no doubt that you will make sure that every square inch is still intact.
Yes, I will have to examine every single pore. Dr. Dunham. I have gloves too. Dr. Dunham, paging Dr. Dunham.
Now you sound like my dad.
Right? Steel.
I can fix it. Yeah, steel can fix anything.
Steel. So I don't know if you saw this, but I found this at the Hobby Lobby, which is a
I
store.
saw your post, yeah.
Dude, this thing.
Tell the folks at home what you just showed, because some people are just
okay.
listening.
So those of you that aren't you can't hear, you just hear me. It's called the Action Bible. If you go to Amazon, you'll find them. It doesn't matter if you believe in the Jesus baby or not, but the cool thing
is
about
really cool.
Oh my God,
really cool.
So it's imagine the Bible turned into a comic book. That's what
the
this
illustration is outstanding.
It's fucking amazing, and it's $17. $17
really?
for At Hobby Lobby, it was $20,
and it's a good size hardback book.
Yeah, Hobby Lobby, it was $20, and a friend of mine that I've known since 1976 messaged me. He's like, "Hey, dude, where'd you get that?" And I was like, "I got it at Hobby Lobby." so then when I got home from my client signing today, motherfucking Amazon vehicle comes, it fucking messes up my rock, and I hear it. So I'm like, dude, what the fuck, man? There's kids in this neighborhood. Oh, I'm so sorry. Here you go. I'm like,
oh no.
I'm like, dude, slow your ass down. Right? Like legit, slow your ass down.
Was he a Vietnamese guy?
No, He wasn't. He
they're
just had
terrible drivers.
He just had a weird accent to him.
I worked with this Vietnamese lady. Real quick story.
Yeah.
She drove one time.
Yeah.
I honestly thought we were going to fucking die on the 202.
Yeah.
And I was like, never again. You can go anywhere you want, but I'll be driving.
There you go. Yeah.
Whatever you want.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So Tony's like, like, hey man, where'd you get that? And I told him, and then so I just happened to be home when the Amazon dude showed up. So I just text Tony because he lives 12 minutes from me. Like we grew up across the street from each other. Now we're 12 minutes from each other. I was like, hey dude, you home? He's like, ironically, I just left the office, heading to the house now to pick something up. I was like, I'll be there in 12 minutes. So I surprised him with it. So he was happy.
Nice.
But it's legit. Like I haven't read it, because it just came in the mail. But I mean, looking at it, thumbing through it, like it's seriously some legit artwork. The Righteous King and the Reluctant Prophet is this chapter. Doja's drinking water. Lepers Under Siege. That could be the name of a song. Lepers Under Siege. Lepers Under Siege.
That's a great title.
Right
up there with Leper Messiah.
Right. See how my eyes went like that?
Yeah, that's Metallica.
So yeah, I won't bore you with this anymore. Oh, the Psalms. It's the psalm. It's the psalming influence. I never know how to say Psalms. I think it's Psalms. Palms.
That's it. Psalms.
Yeah. Psalms,
no, you just had it. Psalms.
Search for a king.
The P is silent.
Yeah, I thought so. Left-handed judge. Stop the sun. It's a trip, man. Spy versus spy. Sacrifice and blessing. Armed battle. It's
a horror story. It really is.
Oh, fucking hey, and
at least the Old Testament,
right? And written on psychedelics.
I'm familiar with a lot of it because, like I've said many times on this podcast, I've had a lot of time on my hands throughout my life to read and study different religions. And
look how clear that is, dude.
I'm telling you, the
like you can tell
illustration
who that
is just completely out of this world.
Right, that's Adam and Eve running away from the tree, man, from the snake.
Well, my first gig was graphic art, so
yeah. Oh, I know. That's why I figured you liked it. So that's why I ordered them.
Super impressed.
Yeah, that's why I ordered it last night because Tony was like, "Oh, that's badass." I'm like, "Well, I'm gonna surprise you."
I had something. It might still be in my closet at Mom Kay's house. I had something similar to that was on a 1980s level.
Yeah.
That was like a cartoon Bible, if I remember right.
Oh shit!
But nowhere near. It was like the size of a Bible. It was hardback, and it was nice. I mean, for the time, I'm sure it was top notch. But that's a whole nother level. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, no,
it's listening at home.
And I was like legit surprised because we were just standing in the checkout line. Nikki got some stuff for Christmas, to decorate the spaces and whatnot. And I'm like, what the hell is that? And it was just.
And for what you paid for that, they're making little to no money, I can tell everybody at home, because that is a quality stock paper with just ink that pops off the page.
Oh,
It's so vibrant. And unless printing costs have come, drastically down, which I don't think they have.
Nope.
They're just breaking even on that thing, so they're not holding anybody up for $17. Even at $20, they're not holding anybody up. That's like a $50 book.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. Even Hobby Lobby had it. If whoever's selling it on Amazon, obviously they're making some profit. So Hobby Lobby only added $2 more for their profit. Like it's a really fair price for what you're getting. It's a really nice size, and like I said, the illustrations are next level. Even the cover, man. Even the cover is just popping because that's what drew me to it in the checkout line. I'm like, action.
Oh yeah, the kids will love that.
I was like, what's this? I was gonna say, what the fuck is this? But it didn't seem to be appropriate. Even though Jesus walking in the desert with Moses, they looked at each other. What the fuck is this about, man? Like looking up, like really, you fucking make me do this for 40 days?
As they were
tripping. I got fucking dry ass nostrils. DMT. I got fucking sand in my sandals. What the fuck, Dad? Like, really? That's where goddamn came into play. Because he was like, damn you, Dad. And Moses was like, did you just goddamn Dad? Yeah, goddamn. It's fucking ridiculous. So anybody that thinks that Jesus didn't swear, you're wrong.
You better have clipped that one.
Jesus, I did. Jesus swore, man. Jesus he's a sinner, man. He sinned for all of us. So damn well he be dropping the F-bombs and See you next Tuesday, and people he didn't like. If you don't follow that what is it acronym? See you next Tuesday. Follow me. Okay. So I mean, the dude was hanging out with lepers and whores. It's not like he was perfect. Okay, because he's not perfect because he was sinning. He died for our sins. And I saw this. So I've been watching Making Manson. Okay, have you seen this?
No. What's it
Okay,
on?
it's on Netflix. It's
I have not.
this dude. This is pretty interesting because I've seen everything on Manson, right? As probably have you.
A lot of it, yeah. Not that
Right.
one, though.
Well, that's because the dude that's behind it has nothing but recorded phone conversations between him and Manson for 20 years.
Like visiting him in prison or something?
No. Phone calls. Every time Manson would call this dude, he would record it.
Really?
For 20 fucking years. He has 20 years worth of
Is this one of
tapes.
his friends, supposedly?
I don't think he was. I don't think so. I don't think he was. He wasn't. There's no reference to him being in the family and shit. Like because they interviewed.
Why is he calling him though?
I missed that, to be honest with you. The beginning of the first episode, I missed how the connection is. I think he was just a journalist wanting to get a story.
Oh, okay.
And Manson him kind of hit it off. But it's legit. Now we're so far removed from it. Like the journalists they had on it from that era were like, all bitter and angry and shit because of what Manson did but I'm learning some things that I didn't know about the Manson history, and it's legit. It's one of those easy things to follow along with when you're not really paying attention to it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So you could be fucking around on your guitar and have it in the background, and you would still like, oh no shit. One of those.
That's
moments.
usually what I do with documentaries for sure.
Yeah. So it's making Manson. It's on Netflix. It's a pretty
I'll check
legit
it out.
thing. Yeah.
I'll put it in.
It's all the phone call. I'm gonna make sure it's Netflix. I think it is, but I'll make sure. Hey Siri, what network is Making Manson streaming on?
David Makes Man, a 2019.
That's not what I fucking said, you dumbass. David Makes Man. You got that? Did you hear? I said Making Manson. And David Makes Man. Like what the fuck, Siri?
Hey, that's something that you and Steele would have in common. He cusses Siri out more than probably. I'm only maybe tied with all you guys.
Yeah, Steele.
That is not what I said.
Right. It drives me nuts, man. So it's an explosive series offering unfiltered insights into America's most notorious killer. Again, he is not a killer, boys and girls. He conspired to commit murder. And I'm not devaluing what Manson did, but I'm just saying
made him do it.
He didn't actually stab, and he even brings that up.
He did not kill anybody.
No,
You can't argue that.
Right, but everything you do, they do it through 20 years worth of never before aired conversations. Those closest to him. So it doesn't say what is it airing on. What is it airing on? You stupid fucking thing. What the fuck? What's it airing on? Where's it airing on? Really? It's not. Oh, Peacock. I'm sorry, Peacock. You got Peacock?
Yes.
Okay, it's on Peacock.
All right. I'll check it out.
Peacock.
I like a good Manson documentary. I like a good documentary on any crazy-minded person that you just cannot figure out how somebody's brain could work like that,
Yeah. Yep.
Like, what happened to you?
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. You know what happened to him? This is what happened to him because this is what I learned from the phone calls and shit. So his mommy was a whore, like legit. Mommy was a whore.
I do remember that part.
Daddy bailed when he was young. Mommy was a whore. Ended up getting into foster care, and once you get into foster care, you're pretty much fucked unless you're one of the lucky ones that come out without being fucked. But he was, literally fucked. Started down the criminal path when about age 11, I think, if I'm remembering correctly. And that was it. Once that door opened, I mean, he could never win for losing, right? Like there's never anything.
But I think I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Because you and I are well versed on this, and I agree that it's fascinating. But where I'm going is what I want people to understand is I'm not sure they can see through the fascination of you and I. Our fascination is, how do you not have any empathy?
Right.
Like his is even worse than an actual killer. I'll agree with you that they keep calling him a murderer. He didn't murder anybody. But
No,
in my
never.
opinion, it's worse because I gaslit a person to the point where they committed murder. That's like evil on a whole nother level, right? Like, I'm not going to do it because I'm, the prophet or whatever. But I need you to do this. And that's evil on a whole nother level, man. You got somebody else who never would have done that, as we discussed on an earlier podcast.
Sure.
Never in a million years was their mind thinking in that direction. And you convinced them that it was in their best interest to kill someone else. That's fascinating.
Well, and the other thing that I learned watching this show, some people that they're interviewing discount the fact that Manson led them to do that. Like some of the family, the Manson family, because there was a lot more than just the 5 that were involved.
Oh,
in this.
yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to say 20, 30 people at most lived in Spawn Ranch, and they were going to the desert because they thought the end of times was coming.
And so
Revelation.
many people went in and out of there, too. Like the guy from the Beach Boys or whatever, he hung out with them.
It's funny you should mention the Beach Boys, Mike. Did you know Charles Manson actually sold the song to Dennis Wilson of the Beach Boys, and they recorded it and it aired?
I do.
And that, boys
I saw
and girls,
that on another documentary. That's a true story.
And that they think is the trigger that pushed Manson over the edge. Because what did Manson want more than anything in the world was to be a musician,
be a rock
paid
star.
musician.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
And this show kind of plays some of his music. Some of the stuff's legit. Some of the stuff's like, you fucking serious? There's a song you wrote called Garbage Dump. Like, okay.
Most of it was shit. Yeah.
Right. But
And the
one
guy,
that Wilson,
which one was? Yeah, Brian Wilson.
Dennis,
right?
no, Dennis Wilson.
Dennis Wilson.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
wanted to get away from Manson eventually.
Right.
It was either a movie or a documentary that I watched, and he was cool with him for a while. Like you said, some
Yeah.
of the music was all right, but most of it was so out there, like Chris said, that,
Right.
even Chris and I would look at each other just like Dennis did and went, oh man, that you ain't, if you think that that's going to sell, you're fucked. And that's where he got to, and he was trying to
Right.
get away from him.
Uh-huh.
And like you said, Manson was like, hey, dude, why you want to leave,
Yeah, the other things that I learned in this documentary so far, they had bikers. They hired bikers for something like a legitimate motorcycle gang. Like it's
Yep.
not the Hell's Angels. It's not the Hell's Angels. So don't tell me I'm wrong because I know I'm wrong. It's somebody else. But they came to the ranch to protect him because they were somebody was trying to kick him off the ranch or something. And the reason that the bikers stayed is, and this is a quote from one of the Manson women that were incarcerated, they were getting sex, all they wanted. So they would do anything we wanted them to do. So it was basically...
The cops were?
No, the bikers.
Oh, the bikers.
Yeah,
You're right.
they were protecting them. Yeah, you're good. So it was all about free
I was
love
thinking the
and,
cops were after him, and yeah, okay. Yeah, the
I
bikers,
see,
they were fucking all the chicks.
Yeah, everybody was fucking everybody. It was free love. Manson even kind of alluded to the fact that you got to have a guy in the mix every now and then just to change things up. So it's not. I wouldn't be surprised if Manson was bi, just from that statement alone, because to each his own.
Well, he was
Yeah,
fucking crazy, so yeah,
Well,
it wouldn't
yeah.
surprise me at all.
Yeah.
Not
Well,
that you have to be crazy to be bisexual, but
No.
it wouldn't surprise me if somebody of that mental capacity wouldn't just throw anything, caution against the wind, as they say.
I don't think he was as crazy as people think. Let's see what his what am I thinking of? His IQ.
His
is.
IQ? That doesn't matter. That you can still be fucking
109.
crazy.
Yeah, 109. And boy, it was above average, but 109. His caseworker. Here you go. For the federal crime of driving a stolen car across state lines, Manson was sent to Washington, D.C.'s National Training School for Boys. On arrival, he was given an aptitude test, which determined that he was illiterate but had an above-average IQ of 109. His caseworker deemed him aggressively antisocial.
No shit. I don't need a PhD to tell you he's antisocial.
Yeah. Now this is not surprising, but the cremated remains of notorious cult leader Charles Manson were scattered on a California hillside following a Christian funeral on March 21st, 2018. I was going to say if he was in the ground, that wouldn't last very long.
Like a gravesite?
Yeah, like Morrison. They had to move Morrison's grave in Paris because so many people were defacing it, not in a negative way, but then just everything that came along with people and transient traffic in and out constantly. It was just it was disrupting that area of where Morrison was buried. Not that
I think
Morrison
they had a problem with that with Darrell Abbott, Dimebag from Pantera.
Oh, I'm sure.
I think I saw a Facebook thing that was asking people to, please stop. They don't think they're desecrating a grave, but when the family goes there, they sure do.
Yeah.
Like, show some respect, people. We all miss our heroes, but they were somebody's family,
Yeah, exactly. That's what people forget,
Yeah, you need to remind yourself of that if you're not a normal person. It's like,
Right.
They don't love you. They don't even know you.
No, right? But yeah, that was a bad day in rock and roll. And Dimebag just got killed on stage, right? Like somebody just went up and shot him.
Yeah, so he had formed a new band called Damage Plan. Unfortunately, they only got to put out one album, which is fucking killer. I always, when I start to listen to that, I go from front to back because it's just badass. So, Vinnie Paul was in that band as well.
Okay.
And some deranged fan that was upset that fucking Pantera broke up decided that it was in the best interest to go up there and just shoot everybody in the new band, even though two of the members, look that up. Rex might have been in that band too. It might have been everybody from Pantera with a different singer.
And what am I looking up?
Damage Plan, personnel, lineup. I know it was Vinnie Paul and Dimebag, obviously, because they're brothers, right?
Yeah. Following the demise of their previous group, Pantera, brothers Dimebag Darrell and Vinnie Paul Abbott wanted to start a new band. The pair recruited former Halford guitarist Patrick Lockman on vocals and later Bob Zilla on bass.
Okay. Rex wasn't in that band. I didn't think he was, but I didn't want to diss him if he was because Rex is badass.
Yeah. No, Patrick.
So
Lockman,
that dude just fucking went to the show that night, which was in a club in Ohio, if I remember right. I might be wrong about that. And he rushed the stage and shot one of the guys in the band, which he didn't die, and then shot Dime, who I think died pretty much instantly. And then there was an off-duty cop, if I remember right, that rushed the stage and tackled him before he could shoot anybody else.
That's good. Columbus, Ohio. You're correct.
Okay.
Place of assassination. They're calling it place of assassination.
He was assassinated, 100%.
Pantera co-founder Vinnie Paul dies at 54, 13 years after his brother Dimebag Darrell was shot dead on stage. So he was shot dead on stage. He was the co-founder of heavy metal band Pantera. Has died at 54, 13 years after watching his brother and bandmate Dimebag Darrell being killed on stage by a gunman. I didn't know that Vinnie Paul died.
Yeah, I think he had a massive heart attack, if I remember right.
Where the hell have I been?
But how terrible would that be to be sitting on your fucking drum throne and watch your brother just get assassinated on stage? That's what he had to see. That's horrible.
Yeah, fucking talk about PTSD, right?
Yeah, and who in their fucking right mind would think that killing anybody would...
Well, who in the
I'm
right
sure he
mind...
wanted to shoot the bass player and the fucking singer, In his deranged mind, I still think that's what he wanted to do. And when he got there, he was like, I don't know what to do. I just shoot,
Yeah.
People like that don't think rationally.
No, well, it's kind of like with John Lennon, right?
Yeah.
Like, what was
Same
the purpose
concept.
Yeah, like, okay. Oh, yeah.
I love you so much, you have to die.
Yeah, coronary artery disease. Vinnie Paul, he died from a dilated cardiomyopathy and coronary artery disease.
Damn, I'm doing pretty good today.
So,
I knew it had something to do with his heart.
So be heart healthy, boys and girls. Drink your castor oil every night before bed.
Eat your veggies.
Eat your veggies. Steamed. Steam those veggies. Steam.
Oh, I love them steamed.
I do too. But don't
Fucking
steam.
delicious.
Don't make Brussels sprouts or broccoli inside your house. Take it outside and do it, because otherwise your house will smell like those two things forever.
Yeah, it takes a while for that to go away. I have some neutralizers because I do love Brussels sprouts and I do love broccoli.
So I learned from Nikki that Brussels sprouts have evolved over the years because when I was a child, I was forced to eat those things, and
I was
can
not,
never-
thankfully.
I was just the fucking horror of that.
Can't even imagine. I would have hated him as a fucking
Yeah.
kid.
Yeah, it's
Hated.
fucking terrible. Hated is an understatement.
I can't even imagine, dude. Shit like that doesn't taste good when you're
No,
a kid. I
but-
don't care what
no,
anybody
well,
says.
and that- and
Your
that's
taste
the-
buds change, right?
Right, but the thing too is that it's evolved over the years because it just has. Nikki didn't like him as a kid either, but she noticed the taste difference from the sheer fact that they've just, what they've done with all the food and shit and the seeds and whatnot. They just figured out how to make them taste better. Which okay,
And as you know, as an adult, the preparation has a lot to do with it too. Maybe you didn't like
It
how
does.
the person that cooked them for you cooked them.
the evil monster.
Yeah. I let you badmouth your own family.
I'm not bad mouthing anybody. It's a true story, man.
I know
Hashtag
it's a
evil
true-
monster. Google
I-
that shit. She
I
comes
know.
up.
I'll let you do that. It's all good.
Nikki tells me don't put a voice to that shit. I'm like, fuck that. I'm putting a voice to that every time I get, man. Evil.
Not everybody got dealt. I think that's another valuable concept that people need to really take to heart is not everybody got dealt the same hand in life, right? It's okay for you to say, I didn't have fucking birthdays and Christmas and like everybody else did, right?
Right.
I didn't have somebody to go hug when, the kid at school knocked me down because they were like, whatever, deal with it.
Yeah.
My mom was always there. My dad was always there. If I had a problem, my parents were there to listen and to educate, right? Here's how you handle whatever situation you were in. Not
Right.
everybody got dealt that hand of cards.
No, and I don't want it to be misconceived that she was an evil person my entire life. There's a lot of positive things and good memories and things like that. Up until the time I was about 8 years old, and that's when
That's fucking horrible.
I know.
Though.
And that's-
No, Jesus,
And
just telling
that's-
that part of the story just ruined anything you wanted to say positively.
Well, no, because that's when
my life
that's
was
when-
great till I was fucking 8.
Hey, well, that's when she kicked me out of the house. Like, did I ever tell you this story?
Yes, and you
Okay,
can tell
yeah,
it again
yeah.
because not
Yeah,
everybody
okay,
listens to
okay.
every podcast. But
Yeah. So
this is Chris's life, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. Well, this is just part of it. So when I was 8 years old, and there's other things before that, but this
My
this
life
is
was
like
great till I was 8.
this is one of those things that's like I went to EMDR therapy to get through this because it was so traumatic. And
Yeah, I'm
and-
not laughing at you. I'm laughing.
Oh, I
with
know.
you.
No,
You-
I know.
You know
I
that.
No,
I
no,
love
no,
you.
absolutely. So the short version of the long story, I was 8 years old. I had to take out the garbage. Did so. It was in the summer, monsoon season. My brother and I are sitting against the dining room window, looked out into the backyard. So I didn't shut the gate. When I took it out, the lightning was throwing, the wind was going, thunder was going. I'm 8 years old. I'm fucking afraid of that shit. I was already a frail kid anyway because I spent so much time in hospitals and shit because my asthma was so bad. That's the whole reason we moved to Arizona from Illinois because I was going to die in 3 months. So I'm not this stellar, strong human being that I am now, right?
You're
As a
not the
punk-
Rock.
Right. So, okay. So I take the garbage out and I put it in the metal can, not the big black barrel, the Dahmer could have put like 40 bodies in. They were so big, black alley barrels, right?
Yep.
I put it in the tiny little metal one. And I go back in the backyard, run into the house, and I didn't shut the gate, obviously. So wind starts coming, the gate gets flown open, the garbage can ends up falling forward into the yard, and debris starts flowing from the garbage can. How the fuck debris comes out of a garbage can, I have no idea. But one of the things that came out was a milk carton that she used to dump her bacon grease in every day. Well, we had a swimming pool. So, and this is a woman who can't swim to this day, and we had a swimming pool. How I missed that opportunity, I have no idea. So the carton of milk that's empty, filled with bacon grease, is somehow making it towards the pool. So she goes outside, has to pick all this shit up. By now it's fucking pouring rain, and it's the typical monsoon with nothing really to the east of us when we lived where we lived at that time because the valley was still growing. I was 78, so this is 1978.
Yeah, the valley was very small in 70.
Yeah, so massive storm, thunder, lightning, fucking chaos, all you want. I'm sitting there at the window with my brother. We're looking out. I remember that there's a little table underneath the window with the goldfish Fred we had, and he's like, "Oh, you took out the garbage." I'm like, "I didn't take out the garbage," because I knew I was fucking scared shitless, because So she comes inside. She's like, knowing full well I took out the garbage because she told me to.
Right?
So she baits me. Who took out the garbage? My brother's like, I didn't. I'm like, I didn't. So right away, she knows I'm lying to her. Fucking grabs me, drags my ass into my room, throws me into the room, slams the door shut. Right? I don't know how much time passes, but she comes back in, flies open the door, grabs me from the bed, throws me off the bed. You don't deserve to sleep on a bed, slams the door. Again, I don't know how much time passed. She comes back in, picks me up off the floor. You don't even deserve to live in the house. Opens the closet, pulls down this brown suitcase from the 60s that had flowers on it. It was like a hippie thing.
You're 8 years old.
Yeah. I throw clothes. She throws
He says, yeah.
clothes. She throws clothes into the suitcase and zips it up, grabs my hand, grabs the suitcase. My brother directly across from my door. I'm at the T section of the hallway. So directly across from my door there's a chair. My brother's fucking screaming, bawling in the chair, just fucking, I don't know what he's saying, but he's just in total fucking holy shit moment because his mother is fucking abusing his little brother and she's taking him and throwing him out the house. Like legit, she was throwing me out of the house during the monsoon season. She opened the door, fucking pushed me out of the house, said, "You don't deserve a house," and slams the door shut. Wrote a song about that called Mother, which I didn't realize Danzig existed, and Danzig had a song called Mother, so they don't correlate at all.
That's a lunatic mind, dude.
Oh, fucking insane. I go across the street to Rodarty's house, and if you don't remember who the Rodartys are, friend Tony, who I've known since 76, I gave him a Bible today, because that was my safe place. And I always just walked in their house because they were cool like that. I walked in, he was in the TV room. I went and sat next to him.
Were you guys the same age? You and Tony?
No, I'm older than him by a few years.
Okay.
And then,
so he probably looked up to you for sure.
we never really had that conversation. We both grew up together. We both wanted to be cops, and then I didn't pass my test. He did, and he just retired from being a cop, and here I sat as a realtor. So I don't know how much time passed, but then I hear their doorbell ring, and so I can hear her voice, and she's telling Ann, Tony's mom, "Oh, they used to call me Christopher. Oh, she used to call me Christopher. Is Christopher here?" She's like, "Oh, Ann's like, oh yeah, he's been watching TV with Tony. Oh, okay, yeah, he left the house a little while ago. I didn't know where he went." So yeah, she comes, gets me, and then it's just the fear of God. Holy shit, I'm dead now, and just I don't remember anything after that. I just I woke up the next day. So I don't know what kind of. I don't know if she beat the shit out of me. I don't know if she just fucking felt bad what she did, but the scenario overlapped whatever happened afterwards that I don't remember. And then EMDR, if you're not familiar with that, it's a way to go into your brain and find a memory that is completely fucked with your life, and you basically take all the emotion out of it. So what we did in my therapy session was basically at the doorstep. I told her no, I wasn't leaving, and I switched places with her, and I shut the door on her, and I went back to my room. So that's how, and I got chills just saying that. So that's how I resolved that trauma in my brain, because trauma in your brain is directly related to physical aspects of life. So,
yes.
Example, I knew of this police officer that when there was a shooting at a Chevron, so every time he would pass a Chevron, he would have a panic attack, because it's like, that's what his brain, he saw the Chevron marker, the signage, and he just panic attacked because that's where he responded to a double homicide or something. So the EMDR method worked with him to the point that when he could drive by a Chevron and he could just basically look at his wife and say, "Yeah, I responded to a call there." So that's kind of why I can talk about that incident with her, because it's the emotional content has been completely removed from my subconscious to where now it's just a memory. There's nothing attached to it whatsoever. And I've talked about it before. Had I not had my creative my creative outlet, who knows where the fuck I'd be. I would be a fucked up individual. I can swear on the Action Bible, because I believe that to be true. I would be a fucked up individual without the creative outlet. And because I don't know how else you would purge that shit. And the only way that most people purge that negative stuff is through drugs and alcohol, and or becoming, those that are abused typically become abusers. You look at a lot of the serial killers, which again, this is one of the reasons Mike and I like that is getting into the psyche of a human and what makes them do those things without the empathy, and something triggered them to get them there. You just don't wake up and say, "Oh, I'm going to go kill 20 people today." This just doesn't happen.
That's where I'm at. So I've told you a million times. I mean, you guys always used to be fascinated by it, and then Scott got to see it a few times. But like, I couldn't have grown up in a more supportive environment. Looking back on it, if I tried, right, and there was still something always not right about me. There was nothing wrong about my family, right? There's just
right.
There's so many questions that I had that unfortunately I couldn't just accept at face value, religion, family. Like, everybody asked me why I never got married and never had kids.
Yeah.
The thought of being trapped in the environment that I saw everybody around here grow up in fucking terrified me on a level you can't even imagine. Well, you can, because I'm 51 years old and I've never been married and I don't have any kids, right?
Right.
I had a dream, I wanted to go be a fucking rock star, and there were things that were different about that dream then that are, now I play for my own satisfaction, and I learned to accept being a musician on whatever level I'm at on that particular day, right? I was looking for this thing I wanted to read, because the whole thing, as you and I always do, we start off not knowing where we're going, and we just stumble into a topic that I think would fascinate anyone, because we talk about things that I want to hear too. So I just read this thing the other day, and I can't fucking find it, and it pisses me off, about people who have been single for extended periods of time. And because I think of myself as an above average intelligent individual, I'll try and paraphrase as best as I can.
Which you are.
But basically it said in a very eloquent way, which I've been trying to put into words myself for many years. It's like, the best way that I've been able to describe it lately is, you can't just introduce me to anyone, right? You don't understand. Like, even people that really know me don't know me on a level that my mom does, my dad does, Chris Dunham does, right? You guys know me on a level that nobody, maybe other than somebody I marry, would ever know me.
Right.
On the surface, I seem like a really nice guy, and I am. But I'm healed, right? So what this whole thing basically broke down to was, when you've gone through what Chris just described, where you've taken the time to heal your mind, your emotional spirit, your body, you can't be with somebody that isn't in that place, right? Because it's too dangerous to you as an individual who put forth all that effort to become a healed, productive member of society where you can help somebody else. The best way I can describe it is, it's terrifying now to me to find somebody who's holding on to a trauma like that, because I'm not sure that I can tell you how to fix it on your own.
Right.
But to put myself in a situation where I have to heal somebody again, holy shit. I don't know if I'm 51 years old now. I don't know if I have enough of those years left, right?
Well, and
I'm looking to enjoy life with my best friend at this point. Somebody who loves life, and like, there's got to be somebody that's at the point where they are at the point I'm at, mentally, physically, spiritually. I'm not against religion. Chris knows that.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, when I mock religion, don't think that I don't believe in something, because I do. I just think it's hilarious that there's 50 different fucking religions and everybody thinks they're right. Not everybody can be right. And, two things. Actually, just one thing. That's the one thing we don't know. What happens when we die, right? You don't know, and I don't know either. So for us to sit here and argue about it is fucking ridiculous.
Right. And I was lucky enough to have a near-death experience when I was 30. When I say lucky enough, because I remember it. It was I 30? Yeah. Memorial Day weekend, right? Yeah. Labor Day weekend. What's in May?
Memorial Day.
Okay. So yeah. So I had written Vision, which, we've talked my song Vision before, and Vision was all about I was going to die. So ironically enough, that weekend of my 30th year on this planet, I had a heart attack, which I had an AFib with rapid ventricular rate. Walked into the ER and told the triage nurse what was up. Her eyes bugged out, like, holy shit comic book. Whee! And I'm back on the gurney. I'm fucking in the back room. I'm signing my life away. They had me call Nikki right away. Like it was that extreme. They put this drug called cardizem in me from the cardiologist. Kid you not, his name was Dr. DiGiorno, like the pizza.
That's crazy.
Right. So he put this drug in me, and I'm sitting here telling him, I'm like, dude, it's itching. He's like, you're not itching. I'm like, dude, I'm getting all hot. He's like, you're not getting hot. I'm like, dude, I'm not feeling really good. He's like, you're feeling fine. Then all of a sudden I code because I had a fucking severe allergic reaction to it. And
I was going to say you were allergic to it.
And the dude's retorting my comments with, no, you're not, no, you're not, no, you're not. Now, granted, boys and girls, this was the height of my drinking. I was probably 230 pounds by then, fat, out of shape, overweight, completely unhealthy, which retrospectively was probably me masking all the trauma and shit as a child, because you drink and do drugs for one of two things. You're depressed. Why are you depressed? Well, you're depressed because something, so, right? And I had buried so much shit from my childhood from 8 years and on that,
There are people who successfully do drugs recreationally as well.
This is true.
There's people who have a damn good time.
I
know
talking,
what you're saying, though.
Yeah.
Like people that get into the point where we were mentally, physically, spiritually.
Right. Where you're fucking, you're not doing pot. You're fucking smoking crack. You're getting the cocaine. You're speedballing. You're chasing the dragon. That kind of like.
Or even if you're getting high all day, that's a problem. Just for the people out there listening, because, marijuana is legal now. If you're sitting there smoking pot all day from the time you get up till the time you go to bed,
you have a problem.
You, my friend, have a fucking problem. So go on.
Exactly. No, you're good.
I want to make those things clear.
So what I remember about my near death is after there was no bright light or anything. I just all of a sudden I woke up. I was standing in a field and I wrote about it in Vision. It was just a giant grass. It was a giant grassy field. So I don't know if it was my subconscious conveying the song that I wrote, because in the song Vision, I got to find it again. It's in my bag, but it talks about these 4 different episodes of where I die. And so the whole song was about, I got a vision controlling me. I got a vision. It's my reality.
The verses were so, we got to figure out how to get it up on here.
Yeah, I can get it up there.
Fucking verses are just.
Oh, you have the recording, huh?
Somewhere, yeah.
Yeah,
I'll get it.
Yeah, work on that. So
one of my favorites.
Yeah, me too. So I love singing it because it was so personal. Because I
could tell every time you fucking sang it.
Yeah, because I full on believed that. I didn't think I was going to necessarily die, but I felt like something was going to happen when I turned 30. Whatever that was, the 30th year, that whole 12 calendar month of being 30, I thought something pivotal was going to occur in my life. Well, and so happens. This happened. So then I'm awake. I'm dead, but I'm awake. And I'm standing in this field of just green. And there's no green I've ever been able to equate it to in living life, whatever. Like outside, my grass is not that green, but in this thing, it was just green and just an amazing blue sky, very peaceful. And then I just started hearing, Christopher, wake up. Christopher, we need you to open your eyes. Need you to open your eyes. Need you to open your eyes. And then, open my eyes and then fucking all this stuff on my chest, and my fucking chest hurt because of the compressions and shit. And next day when I'm up in the cardio care unit, he comes up and he's like, if I would have pushed that whole thing, we wouldn't be having this conversation. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, well, you'd be in the basement right now. I'm like,
thanks a lot.
Like, fuck. So it's but now I know I'm allergic to this thing called cardizem, and every time I feel something out, what are you allergic to? This. And
Do not give me this.
No, and it's a beta blocker. It's designed. What it was designed to do was to stop and instantaneously restart my heart in a normal sinus arrhythmia, if I'm remembering that correctly. That's what it was supposed to do. But instead of restarting,
in your case, being allergic to it, it had the opposite effect.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then, there you go. Let's look it up. Cardizem.
That's what would happen to Mama Kay if you started cooking a nice seafood dinner in your kitchen and she was sitting at your island. She would go into anaphylactic immediately, just from the fumes, mind you.
Oh, okay. It says it's used to treat high blood pressure and prevent chest pain, angina. Lowering high blood pressure helps prevent strokes, heart attacks, and kidney problems. When used regularly, the generic name of it can be used. Number and severity of episodes of chest pains, angina, Oh, AFib, there it is. It works slowly. It works by slowly. That's weird to say. Cardism works by slowly the electrical conduction. I think it's supposed to say slowing the electrical conduction that goes through the atrioventricular node, thus helping to slow down the heart rate. Besides AFib, it's also used to treat other types of heart rhythm abnormalities such as atrial flutter and supraventricular tachycardia.
Except in you.
Right. So that's the improper beating of a heart, whether regular, too fast, or too slow, is arrhythmia, which is what I had. I had AFib with rapid ventricular rate.
You know a funny thing about vision, now that you bring that up?
Yeah.
You remember the guy that came to audition that we always joke about, the fucking Aubrey? No, Aubrey. The guy that had articles written about him and he has to save face and we're not ready to go on stage.
Yeah.
The one thing he gave us was I got a vision, not the lyrics. He gave us that section of music.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Right on.
If you remember, the song used to just repeat over and over and over, and it was like Cashmere. It never went anywhere.
Okay.
But we're not Led Zeppelin, so we couldn't pull that off. So he was like, you guys need a chorus in there. And we kind of had something, if I remember right. It didn't just, the verse didn't just keep going over and over again.
No.
I think maybe we sped those chords up or something.
Yeah.
But he was like, you guys need a bridge section and then you need a chorus. And he gave us that bridge section and that chorus.
Oh,
and
thanks, Albert.
that's ultimately what made that song. Doesn't change the fact he was still a dick.
No. I love singing that chorus though. That's a cool chorus. I can still see it in my head when I'm singing on stage.
The drum part for that was just
got a vision, got a vision
fucking
in me.
cruising.
Yeah.
Scott was doing double time on the hi-hat, and then
Wow.
he was doing double time on the hi-hat, maintaining the snare beat, and throwing fucking fills in like they were going out of style in that whole section.
Right
I
on.
remember that it was a workout for him.
Yeah.
I just had to play 3-chord. Like for you and him,
Yeah.
it was like, to put this in perspective for the people who are listening at home, this song was a mid-tempo song until the chorus kicked in, and then it went about 25% faster for the entire chorus,
Yeah.
and then it slowed back down for the verse. It was, in my songwriting days, that was my Mr. Holland's opus at the time. I had never written a solo that was that melodic.
Right.
I had never written any kind of piece of music that had gone that far, where it had different tempo changes, time changes. But I felt like it deserved it after you told me the story, So like for the people who are listening, Chris told me this story 30 years ago when he wrote the song, and we're, sitting in my apartment or whatever. And he's like, yeah, I got this song and, it's really personal to me. And then he told the story he just told all you guys. And I'm like, well, you can't just slap a piece of music on that. It's got to fucking mean something, right?
Right.
You have to lay down a foundation for this guy to tell his story over.
Yeah.
And to hear you say that, that how much you enjoyed that like almost brings tears to my eyes. It's like,
No, yeah. That was a great song, man. It was
fantastic.
Yeah, it was a great. I'm biased. I loved everything we wrote because it's, and I can't say that about the other bands I've been in. It's,
Nor can I.
So it is. It was,
I tried.
Yeah.
I tried to make them good just like you did, but they didn't have I guess the thing that always irritated me is it's like, I didn't want to ever be the guy, because this is how I was taught to be in the music business. I didn't want to be the guy that was like Aubrey, I didn't want to be that guy who said, I've had articles written about me. I've opened for national acts. I've recorded at professional studios. We've had courting from major record labels. We had a sound man that had just gotten off tour with fucking Queensryche that was salivating over taking us on tour.
Right.
I never wanted to be that guy. I'm not a fucking name dropper.
No.
There's stories that are going to come up on this podcast, and we're going to say we played with Sacred Reich and we played with Pat Travers, and but I don't want to be that guy all the time, because if you're a true artist and you're a true musician or whatever, you're always thinking about the next thing that's coming up. You know,
Right.
the past is the past, and I love telling stories as much as the next guy. That's why we're doing this podcast.
Sure.
But you just don't want to be the bragger guy.
No.
I guess my point of bringing this whole thing up, it's a long-winded way of saying you and I have been there. We accomplished the goals that we set out to when we were just two guys sitting on shitty furniture in my apartment,
Right.
writing songs that we didn't know were going to go anywhere. And the next thing you know, we're standing on stage with a band that I had posters of on my wall, which I think we talked about in the last podcast.
We did. Yeah. Yeah.
I had Sacred Reich posters on my wall, and I'm like, holy shit, the rhythm guitar player's running sound for me now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And he's a cool motherfucker, and he loves us, and this is awesome. I can't even believe any of this is happening, right? And he's telling us stories about having Jason Newsted on his couch, and he was there when Jason got the call, and like they lived together, and you know, now he's got all this equipment sitting in his apartment, and he's like, that cocksucker don't need it because he's got millions of dollars, right? He's
Right.
like, now I got all this shit there, and just cool stories like that. Our drummer bought Eric Singer's drum kit, who, for the folks at home, know Eric Singer was the drummer for Kiss for about the last 35 years or so.
Yeah.
My point is, we had been there, done that, and then you have people telling you and I that we don't know what we're talking about and we don't know what we're doing. That's super frustrating and not a position that you want to be in, and it just gets old quick.
It does get old quick, and that's probably why he's, you know, who knows where Aubrey is. I don't recall anybody famous named Aubrey. Do you?
Not right off the tip of my tongue.
No.
Hey, I found that thing and I want to read it to you because
right.
I think you're gonna even.
So what's
you'll
this
get
thing
more-
called? What's it called?
It says The Truth About Being Single.
The Truth About Being Single by Mike Michaels on the Chris and Mike Show.
I did not write it. I don't know who wrote it, and I would give him credit, but there's no credit to be given.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it just says, what people don't realize is that some people are single in this generation because they are healed, which I said,
Right.
which makes them incompatible for trauma bonds. Unfortunately, trauma bonds is the template for our broken culture, and anyone who chooses peace over trauma will have difficulty in relationships because most people you meet are emotionally damaged in some way. Healed people seek euphoric bonds because those bonds create authenticity, and correction comes with that type of love. It is kind of an oxymoron. 90% of the relationships/marriages you see today are actually trauma bonds because they need the better half to make them feel whole, because they're both broken mentally, spiritually, or emotionally. Let that sink in for a moment, it says.
Broken both spiritually and emotionally.
Yes. And I think you would agree with that, just looking at your own life and how you've built your marriage over, how long have you guys been married now?
Almost 30 years.
So you think back over 30 years and what work you've put into to make that person, who I know as well as anybody, is your best friend.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yep.
I mean, first and foremost, you guys don't attack each other. You may not, nobody always agrees. I'm not saying that.
No, we don't. No. And we're not.
But there's
we're not,
never you're not in competition with each other.
No.
Only
We
for
were,
fun.
Nikki and I were just opposite enough to work. We both came from broken, not ideal situations. I'm not going to share her story, but neither one of us came from like my grandmother was a salty to the earth. My grandmother I loved more than anything in the world, and a lot of people, my grandma, my grandparents, and I get that. Had we not left Illinois, I think my life would have been different as far as how the abuse and stuff. I don't think would have actually been relevant because my grandmother had such a long shadow. Like she was, and everybody says their grandparents amazing. My grandmother was the first. She got back in the day when she was a teacher, because she was a teacher forever. You weren't allowed to be single, right? Or no, you couldn't be married. You couldn't be married because then it just didn't work. You know, women didn't work back then. They were spouses and wives. That was it. Well, when they found out she was married, they fired her, and then she automatically got picked up at another school because she was that good of a teacher. She was the first single woman because my grandfather died, which I never met, so I know nothing about him. And I won't pretend to have any illusions of grandeur, whether he was a good man or not. I've heard good stories, but I heard good stories from people that would never say anything bad about anyone from my family, right? Like my aunt, when my aunt died, it pissed me off because why the fuck is she still alive and my aunt's dead? My aunt fought cancer for 30 years. Why didn't she fucking have cancer? You know what I mean? It's that dynamic. But because my grandmother was who she was, I don't think any of the bullshit that went down when my brother and I were being raised in Arizona would have went down in Illinois. But we moved to Illinois because I was going to die, and there's no choice. At least that's what I was told. So she was a the first female non-married teacher. She was raising 2 daughters on her own. Didn't physically build the house, but sold the farm they had. They were dairy farmers and sold the farm and built the house and was going to school full time while raising 2 daughters and getting a master's degree. I mean, the woman fucking, like, her obituary was just insane. And she was that humble of a person that I never knew any of it.
No.
It was just like reading that. I'm like, holy shit, this.
And for me, that's how my Grammy was too, but she wasn't a bragger either. So a lot of things I had to figure out as an adult. Yeah. There were things that she would say when we were sitting at the kitchen table, just me and her, and she would say, if you don't ever remember anything, remember that I told you this, right?
Right.
So I would try and commit as many of those to memory as I could. And as I got older, like you said, man, you're like, that woman was so far ahead of her time, knowing when she was born and what she had to grow up in. Talking about society, people, right?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Back then, it was, my grandma worked because at that time my grandpa owned his own business, so like she did all the books and the taxes and that kind of shit. But even moreover than that, like you're talking about, she was such a forward thinker. Yeah. I've told my mom a lot of these things, so not a lot of them are going to be a surprise, but a lot of the decisions I made in my life were based on things that she would say, like, this is your life, No matter what anybody tells you, this is your life. You were afforded to come here for whatever reason, and what you do with it is your business, right? Yep. Good or bad, indifferent. Your parents are going to tell you X, Y, and Z until you're 18 years old, and then you're going to either go to college or you're going to get a job. But when you become an adult, your decisions in this life are your own. And that stuck in me like you can't even imagine,
right?
When people try and change who you are and what you're trying to accomplish with your life, you got to remind yourself of that. They're not living your life. As much as I love everyone around me, you're not me and I'm not you.
Yep.
As far as we know. We could be living in a simulation. I don't know.
It's the Matrix, man. Like yesterday, all the chemtrails, right? Like all the chemtrails in the sky. Did you have chemtrails over there in Illinois, man? Because they were fucking littered in the sky.
You're not getting me with the chemtrails.
No. I am serious, man. I had one of my friends like post this thing, this video, and it fucking went, it panned. Okay, but check it out. Yesterday was fucking. Yesterday was bright, sunny skies, man. Like there was nothing in the weather for rain or gloom and doom.
But then the temperature at that part of the atmosphere dropped just enough at that time of day, and the planes flew through, and clouds were generated. I won't argue that at all.
And then all these chemtrails, man.
Mark that fucking section 2 up.
I did. And Di had posted them. She posted. She's like, "Oh my," She's like, "There's chemtrails. Artificial weather's coming." I'm like, "Fuck yeah, it is." And I just really, this is why I'm pulling it up, because we were not supposed to be cloudy at all. Okay, there was all our things were sunshines, right? All sunshines, and all of a sudden,
but I'm not arguing that the planes don't create clouds. They do, right, but that's what they are. There's not a conspiracy.
So today, tomorrow, cloudy. Friday, Saturday, cloudy. Sunday, Monday, cloudy. Okay. All of a sudden, our temperatures are not going to be anything higher than 72 degrees for the rest of the week. It's just it's the fucking craziness, man. It's crazy.
Let's start with convincing everybody that the world is flat, and then we'll get to chemtrails.
The world is flat.
There's the ice wall.
There's ice, dude. You've got the ice wall too. You've seen it. I've seen it, right?
I was there, dude.
Oh my God, the ice wall, dude. Winter's coming.
Don't look over the edge.
Winter, don't look over the edge, man. Don't look over the edge. I had a dream when I was a kid, okay, because I grew up in hospitals and shit, right? So all my childhood nightmares.
You and I have this in common.
Up to 8 years old, okay.
I was
all my
sick a lot too.
Right, all my childhood trauma nightmares up to 8 years old were related to hospital. So, Big Will. I don't know why I'm coughing. The Matrix is fucking.
You need water. That's why. We've been talking for an hour.
So I'm riding my Big Wheel in the hospital, right? Cruising around like The Shining, right? Like, you remember The Shining movie and little Danny's riding his Big Wheel all over the place? So I'm riding my Big Wheel right in the hospital. So if you can't see me online because, listening, I'm pretending like I'm riding a Hot Wheel. I mean, not a Hot Wheel, a Big Wheel.
Big Wheel.
So I come to the edge of the building. This is going to freak you out. I come to the edge of the building and I skid it like my Big Wheel. I skid it, right?
Okay.
And when we were kids, you'd do that in the driveway and you'd have a little mark on your ride and you'd be like, I fucking did that, man.
Yeah, until your wheel got a hole in it.
Right. Then it's fucking a bad day right there. So as I turn the Big Wheel in the building, which is the hospital, right? The entire side of the building's blown off. To the fact that my Big Wheel's to the edge of it and I look over and I can see the rebar sticking out of the concrete floor and the whole face of this building's gone. It's just fucking gone. Oklahoma bombing. When I saw the Oklahoma bombing on TV, my entire body got chills from head to toe. I'm like, holy shit, that's the dream.
No shit.
Yeah, because where I was at in the dream, when I was at in the hospital, was the children's ring. Because I grew up, every time I had an asthma issue, I was on the way to the hospital. Children's ring, St. Joseph Hospital, like legit. Nick and I drove by it a couple weeks ago, and I saw the top of it. I'm like, that's where that's where all the toy boxes and stuff were. She's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, that's where I when we lived in Phoenix. That's like weekly. I was there. Like I remember being in that little round dome at the top because that's where all you could play and shit. So when they would make you get up and walk around and shit, because I wasn't dying, I just had asthma, so it was breathing treatments and shit like that. That they would take me to the little playroom and I would get to play for however long. Could have been like 10 minutes for all I know. But that was like a positive memory of being in hospitals.
I'll think about this for a minute, but I probably have at least 10 examples, but this one comes to me. When you said that, it gave me fucking chills.
Right.
So you remember the first place I worked at in Phoenix before I started the band or while I was starting the band, Color Masters?
Yeah.
I was at that place in my dream, and I met the guy that hired me before it ever happened. I knew exactly what he was going to say.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. Like, when I was sitting there having the interview, I'm like, I've been here before. And I knew exactly what questions he was going to ask, and I almost knew exactly what I was going to say, verbatim.
Wow.
I'm like, and I told him that years later. I'm like, dude, do you remember the interview? I said, I had been there a couple of years prior. It was while I was going to college. Like, I dreamed about being at that place at that moment in time before it ever happened.
Interesting. That's the whole... Doja's at our door right now thinking Nikki's coming home. That's funny. And she's not home yet. But legit, I just saw him walk by. Like, what are you doing? He's sitting there.
He knows.
Wagging his tail.
Dogs know, man.
I know, but she's just getting her hair done, so she's not even...
He doesn't know that. He's like...
Doja, she's getting her hair done, man. She's not coming home.
He's like, chop, chop, man.
Right? That's because he's like, it's 5 o'clock. You're supposed to feed me. She's not coming home yet. And there he goes, walking back to his bed now. He's smarter than he pretends, man. Like Nikki
dogs are
extremely
smart.
Yeah. He's a smart dog for sure. So I had a thing in college, kind of similar to that, the out of body experience. I had people I was hanging out at the time. The next day, I was talking to this chick and I was explaining to her what her house looked like, and it was like I'd never been in her house, but it was like on point to the fact that it freaked her out because she could have swore, "What were you doing in my house? When you last?" I'm like, "I wasn't in your house. I was flying over it." And she's like, but that was around about the time Nemesis maybe, because when our minds were so. We weren't like hippies hallucinating drugs and shit, any of that kind of jazz, but our minds were so open and we were so in touch.
There was a hive mind.
With the creative aspect of us and who we were and what we were doing and what we were creating. And I think
because there was zero ego.
There was no ego. It was just all of us feeding off each other's creativity and building Our minds. It was like there wasn't a moment in time in those.
We were
when I first
excited to
started-
be together.
Yeah. So everything was a creative outlet. Everything, the juice was flowing. Everything, like the minds were open and free. And I don't know why the fuck I'm coughing so much. I just drank
See,
water.
and for you, I've been meaning to talk to you about this privately too. Those are the parts that the people that know me here, they don't know any of that, right? They weren't there. So
Yeah.
like, don't ever feel like you're going over describing to me, even though I was there, you know, that's
Yeah.
not the point. It's like a lot of this is those years I was there and not here. Right. So they don't know any of those stories. Like I said, I'm not a bragger, so I don't really sit down and say, here's how I formed the band. A lot of people don't know those stories.
Yeah. No, that's
And you're right, man. We were like in tune on a level that I have never been with other individuals ever in my life, ever.
Yeah. No, I haven't
Because
either.
there was,
No.
I can't even describe to the people that are listening the level of no ego in that room. There was fucking zero, less than zero. It was, what can I do to make your part better? It wasn't what can I do to make my part better?
Right.
How can I make you sound? How many times did I tell Scott to play the fucking drums more and he would laugh? He's like, no one's ever said that to me before,
Right.
man.
No, but it's true. It's
I'm like, I'm not doing anything here. I'm playing a couple chords and it's fucking, there's
Yeah.
like a lot of dead space. You got to fill it up. You know, you
Yeah.
got to be the man.
Yeah.
Well, nobody ever said that. They always told me to play softer. I'm like, I'm telling you, hit them harder,
Yeah.
hard as you
Yeah.
can.
Uh-huh.
That was
Drummers,
the
I
other
don't-
thing.
I don't think-
Dynamics.
Yeah, I don't think drummers realize what a heavy impact they have on this. I think they do on the songs, but from a vocalist standpoint, some songs evolved with the way that he played the drums. Just like when the last
Almost
band I
all
was
of
in,
them.
right? And the last band I was in, the same thing. When Jesse came in and started putting his own drums to the songs, because what's his face would play the drums, and and it's like there's just fucking stop. So when Jesse would come and lay down his tracks, just the dynamic would change, which is why it was always disappointing to me that we never played any of that stuff live before we recorded it, because it would have changed immensely.
Just like ours
and,
did. Sure.
and you, right, because you know how when you and I've said it 1,000 times, every live gig is worth 1,000 practices,
Absolutely.
and the ability that we had on stage to we just knew each other well enough from all the practices and all the time together that if I just went off on a vocal tangent of lyrically improv, you guys would just follow that. It wasn't, and it never missed a beat, and I'd have to kind of give you a cue or something. Okay, I'm done. And then the next amount of timing would elapse, but I never had that with anybody else on that level, and I never.
We
had
had
that
the freedom to never. That's it. You just hit it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I apologize. I talked over you, but I
No,
took
you're
the-
good, man.
That
No.
and there you go. That's the hive mind again. I literally sucked the words right out.
Yeah,
It's like we had the freedom even on stage to improvise. So if you're a musician
Yeah.
or you were ever in a group or whatever, imagine having the freedom not only at practice, not only at songwriting session, but we had the freedom to improvise on stage. Nobody got pissed.
No.
It was like either going to be a train wreck. I always described it as falling down the stairs. You're either going to land on your head or you're going to land on your feet. But trying was the fun part. Nobody got mad.
Yeah.
We would be like,
No.
hey, that didn't work right there. Let's not do that again. Yeah, hey, whatever.
Yeah.
But then there were more moments, 9 out of 10 times it was, dude, do you remember the chorus and whatever?
Yeah.
We've never played it like that before. Because we never played the same song the same way
Right,
twice.
and that's why I would start bringing that camcorder to our practice, setting up in the corner at Scott's house just to record the session, so we go back and watch it and be like, oh, that's what we did, that's what we did, that's what we did.
So valuable.
And that also was when you started you running the 4-track, because we would get the cassette tapes.
Yep.
All right, here's the song, and as funny as it sounds, that's a lot of ways that I learned how to sing a lot of our songs, because the cassette tape, I just pop it in the truck and fucking listen to it all day. And
I remember you were driving around
Yeah.
just jamming out to whatever new songs we were working on
Right.
all the time.
Right, that's how I would learn the songs. That's because I write them, right? But you still one of those things. For a song to be a song, you have to work through the nuances and the tweaks. And there's that snare, or there's that fill, or I like that. I like how he drops the line, whatever the bass line Rick was doing, and it would change, and it would evolve. and so much today I think is all garage band, electronic. Oh, let's just plug this in and make a song. It's losing so much of the creative process.
1,000,000%.
The
part that you just described, where we would get in a room and just bang it out for hours, right?
Yeah.
That's the one thing that I always tell people. What would surprise me the most about a musician, or having to be a musician, and instantly, every time, I'm like, you would never get over playing the same song over and 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 over ad nauseum, right? Most people don't realize that there's like Chris just said a minute ago, there's literally one gig is worth 1,000 hours of practice, but there was 1,000 hours of practice that went into that one gig too.
Yeah. Because once we started gigging, then it was more, 3-4 gigs a week and a couple practices in between and then a day off type thing. But yeah, once you start playing live, it's because you've collectively agreed as a band that you're ready to play live, and you're going to be tight enough to go through the fuck ups on stage that nobody's going to realize that you fucked up if they've never seen you before. So it's
and then you get super used to playing those 10 songs, and then Chris and I, or Scott and I, or whoever was writing the songs at the time, would have the pleasure of presenting to the band, hey, we got 5 or 10 new ideas, and everybody go, all right, because you knew you had to change. You got, like Chris said, you got super comfortable playing that set list, and we would change up the songs and the order, but those 10 or 15 songs, we were so tight playing that we didn't need to practice, right? That's your point.
And the reason why we never got tired of them is because they were all stories. It wasn't let's go to the bar, get hammered to pick up a chick. They were all, everything that I wrote was about life. It wasn't, which was not the thing at the time. Everything at the time that music was out was all about partying and getting laid and going out on Friday night.
Or even worse, at that time it was super dark.
Yeah, it's just and I mean I have my darkness, but Vision could be construed as a dark song, but when we wrote it the way we wrote it and we sang it the way I sang it, it
didn't come across that way.
No, it told the story. Everything, even the stuff I wrote that was about like Nothing Man. That was a dark song, but
we made it happy.
That's what I'm saying. By the way we structured the music around it, it was able to.
That one's in a major key. That helps a lot.
Well, it's a unique.
F-sharp.
Yeah, and it's a unique. I didn't know that, but it's a unique way of being a storyteller in a non-traditional way, right? Because there's storyteller musicians out there and bands and stuff, but our stories were heavy and hard, for lack of a better.
I won't argue with you one iota, because that's one thing that always struck me, is how unique your song structure was, your delivery. You weren't like any singer that was out there at the time, and that's exactly what I was looking for. I didn't want to be Stone Temple Pilots, as much as I love Stone Temple Pilots, one of my favorite bands, but I didn't want to be like every 90s band that was out there. Chris has said it on several of these podcasts. We were Creed before Creed was Creed. We just were. They weren't around. We knew that people wanted to hear that kind of music, and if you want to know what kind of band we were and you never heard us, you actually hear us at the beginning of every episode. But
yes.
If you don't pay attention to that part, we were just like Creed before they were around. It's like we knew people wanted to hear good hard rock
that meant something,
that had a message. It had a story behind it.
Yeah,
all my favorite bands were storytellers. Led Zeppelin, Misty Mountain Hop, shit like that. It's like, tell me a story, man. Make it go somewhere.
Yep, exactly.
Let me fucking fire up a joint and take a journey.
Right. So this is I'm gonna rattle something off here that I wrote from. I wrote this while you were doing something, because it's that Muse thing, and then we can wrap it up.
Okay.
Because this will be a cool thing to wrap it up. It's a working title, because I had to, whenever I write something, I always document where it came from, right? So like I've been watching the Manson thing. I've been taking notes throughout it because I'm going to formulate a song.
Awesome.
Right. So this is called Mike's song. You can't just introduce me to anyone. I'm not who you think I am. I've had my trial and tribulations, and I have yet to be healed. You cannot be with someone who has not healed themselves. The shadows live longer than the sun. It's terrifying to realize the drama within my mind. I will not heal someone else. I don't have time to heal another broken human. Broken feelings don't lie. Broken souls can't fly. The chorus, this broken culture will never die. This broken culture fractured the sky. The souls are broken in spirit and rhyme. Our souls will never fade. Our souls will never cry.
That piece of music that I played for you a few weeks ago might work for that.
Well, so there you go. It's a little wordy the first three verses because of
yeah, but there's a lot of room for you to sing in that piece of music.
Yeah, so there
because we can drag that little beginning part, that you can sing after that as long as you want, and then it'll happen again.
Yeah, and I just decided to call it Broken Culture.
I like it.
So there you go, Broken Culture, boys and girls.
That's how you write a song, ladies and gentlemen.
That's how I write a song.
Mike starts rambling, and Chris gets bored and starts writing.
Well, I wasn't bored. I'm
just being
no,
funny,
no,
dude.
no. I
You
know,
know that.
but what you were saying,
I see people gloss over when I'm talking. Sometimes it's all good.
No, but it resonated what you were saying, and I kind of knew where you were going in a sense because of what we were talking about. So that's why I popped up my notes. I'm like, I gotta capture some of this.
I love it. and that piece did strike me so hard because I've been trying to put into words for people. When I say I'm different and I got quirks, everybody's immediate answer all the time is everybody's got those. Like, you don't understand.
You don't. No, everybody has their own path in life, so that's why everybody's different. That's why nobody's the same.
I've literally been looking for my best friend, and I never found that person yet. So, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Don't think that, for ladies and gentlemen, I'm not sad,
Right.
It's like, there's times that I would like somebody in my life, but the reason I say it can't just be anybody is because I'm not codependent on anyone else, right? I don't need somebody around.
Right.
I'm surrounded by guitars and music and talent and friends and family, and I can't complain.
Yeah, and it's and I'm on the polar opposite of that. Like, I can't imagine a life without Nikki not being in it.
Right,
You know what I
and
mean?
that's the reason I read that is for that reason alone, because anybody who has lived their whole life, you're not codependent.
No.
I can name you off the air 5 people I know that are 100% codependent. But I'm not that way. I'm the polar opposite of that. If you try and push me too far or think that I need you to help me out, you're going to push me away. I'm just a different personality, right?
Yeah. Yep.
I've done shit on my own for a long time. As Chris alluded to, I don't know, 10 podcasts ago or so, it takes a certain kind of personality at 19 years old to pack up everything that you have and drive 2,000 miles away from everyone you've ever known.
Yeah, absolutely. that itself is ballsy as fuck to just, and that's yeah. The fact that you didn't end up in porn movies,
Man, I tried, dude. I tried. Like, that's all you got? Okay, I'll try the music.
That's funny. Oh, fuck. All right, boys and girls. This has been the Chris and Mike Show.
It's been a fun Chris and Mike show.
Go if you're into the artwork. Even if you don't like the Bible, the artwork itself is pretty badass. So,
it is.
The Action Bible on Amazon. Just go to Amazon, type in the Action Bible, and it pops up. And it's just for the sheer comic book lovers, the artwork you're gonna love. I haven't gone through every page. I'm gonna kind of go through every page later and kind of just look at it on a whole. But Nikki had referenced, Anthony, even though he can't really read yet, he's only 5, but he's in that era of his life where Skylar got a nativity, so he's like, who's that? And so she started to explain to him what the baby Jesus is and stuff. So every kid's got to go through that. It's part of growing and, understanding there's more to life than...
Unless you're Anton LaVey's kids.
Right.
We don't have time for that, people. We'll get to that later.
Next time. Don't let the bad days win. I'm Chris. He's Mike. Right? Yeah. Thanks for checking us out. Spotify, Apple, YouTube, Instagram, all those things. We got some shorts dropping, so make sure you pay attention to those. And happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Absolutely. This will be dropping on a little bit after Thanksgiving. So happy Thanksgiving to everybody.
Yeah, this will drop Wednesday after Thanksgiving, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it was Thanksgiving. Hope you had a good Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Hope everybody got full and
yeah, didn't do anything stupid,
And like he said, don't let the bad days win.
Especially this time of year, because this time
It's
of year
rough.
is when for a lot of people it's a hard time of year between now and the end of this year. So definitely don't be afraid to reach out.
Yes.
Somebody, if not us, somebody. You're loved. You'll be missed tomorrow if you're not here, regardless of what you think.
100%. Agreed.
100%. To Mama Kay and Steele, I said hello.
Will do. Happy Thanksgiving to you and yours, because we haven't had it yet. So
Right, we haven't.
love you, brother.
All right, love you too, man. Peace.
Peace.